I still want to keep your attention for a couple of minutes because I don't know if many of you know, but Christy and Bobby actually went to Startup Bootcamp in Dublin. And that's a really nice tech hub. It's a great country to build your startup in. And to tell us a little bit about that, from Enterprise Ireland, please greet Lorcan O'Sullivan.
Bunat Sarah. Okay, I know from talking to people here that some of you are thinking of relocating part or all of your startup. For some of you, that's the wrong thing to do. For others, it's the right thing to do. But you need to think of where you go. Because no startup location, my job is to sell a startup location, but I'm telling you, no startup location is perfect. And the right startup location depends very much on your needs. So you need to look at what are your needs, and logically and consistent and in a structured way, look at which location you should go to if you do need to move. Okay, so my job is to do pitching Ireland to you, and I will do that in a minute. But before I do that, let me say that the last thing I need is to encourage a company to come to Ireland who shouldn't be coming. Because I don't want to invest money in a startup and we do invest lots of time helping startups, and then to find it's the wrong startup. That's the worst possible scenario for me. So what we do is if people want to engage with us, is we help them to assess whether Ireland is right for them by giving them links to sources of information, by encouraging them to come. We don't pay for it, but we encourage them and help them to come on a trip where they meet entrepreneurs in Ireland, people from their home country or whatever, and talk to investors, look at the costs, and so on. Now I'm going on to the why Ireland pitch, and there are 3 reasons. Firstly, Ireland is a significant tech hub. I don't know if you know that, so I go with a little bit of information. We have been chasing the big tech companies for about 4 decades, and we have succeeded in getting them to come and to reinvest and reinvest. So we have 10 of the top 10 born in the internet companies and 8 of the top 10 global tech companies. And they don't just have small operations. It's not brass plate looking for tax. It's big operations. Google would have 3,000. IBM has more than that. Intel has 4 fab plants, and I don't know how many billions in investment and about 4,000 or 5,000 people. Dell and Apple have 2,000 each and so on. Now, why does that matter to a startup? It matters to a startup because those companies need support systems. They need lawyers who understand the tech industry. They need management talent. Because they've been here, all that support is built up, and that support works to help tech companies of all sizes. The second thing I would say about Ireland is it's a very pro-business environment. We wouldn't have got those companies to come if it wasn't. But equally, if you look at things like the World Bank rankings of what's the easiest place in Europe to do a startup, it's Ireland, okay? It's not a cheap country. It's a lot more expensive than Romania. But compared to other places with big tech industries, it's much cheaper, okay? It's English speaking, and if you're trying to address American investors or American buyers, yet they would much prefer you to be in the US, but they're happy doing business in Ireland. Many of them have invested and bought business in Ireland because most of the people in the tech industry in the US know Ireland. Finally, we have startup community supports and funding. You may or may not know the biggest web event in Europe this year was Dublin Web Summit. Now, partly that's due to the genius of Paddy Cosgrave, but it wouldn't have been the biggest event if there wasn't a very active and collaborative startup community. There was a recent independent report showed that Ireland has 3 of the top 8 accelerators in Europe. Now, we have less than 1% of Europe's population. So that doesn't happen by chance. We also have similar types of support for companies at more advanced stages. So we work with companies not just at the early stage, but providing the same type of leadership development and strategy development right through the different stages of growth. And we have some of the best startup funding in Europe at the early stage. Once you get to a certain stage, you can attract money from anywhere if you're good enough. So if anybody's interested in engaging, we have a stand outside, and we're here until in Bucharest until Friday afternoon.